It's been a week since U.S. President Donald Trump took over the helm of affairs at the White House, and he has gone straight to work. Trump has signed a wave of executive orders in his first days as America's 47th president. Some analysts have expressed worry over Trump neglecting Africa in his trade policies, while some feel Africa must break away from dependence on the United States and chart its own course. Joining us on this show to discuss what is in store for Africa in Trump's administration is Professor Anthony Kila, Director at the Commonwealth Institute of Advanced and Professional Studies, CIAPS. Good morning, Professor Kila. Welcome to the show. Well, can you hear me? Hello, Prof?
Oh, yes, I can hear you. Good morning.
Okay, I hear you now.
I can hear you. Is my microphone off?
Okay.
Yes, good morning.
Very good. Well, 1 week of Trump in office, and it seems, as they say in Nigeria, he seems to have hit the ground running. Your assessment of what is done in 1 week, and then this question about what is in store for Africa under the Trump administration, when it is very clear that Trump says he's just interested in America first. Do you think he will spare any thought for Africa? And what should Africa be expecting from him, apart from Africans exporting raw materials and getting slammed with tariffs?
Well, everything is possible with Trump. But let us start from where you started from. 1 week in office and over close to 50 or so or more executive orders. Hit the ground running, as you said. Now, let all other leaders in the world and those aspiring to be understand that it is possible to hit the ground running. The question is, are you running to the right direction or the wrong direction? But it is possible. Trump's formula for hitting the ground running, it must be said, is neither a mystery nor a miracle. It is because 90 days after election, throughout those days, he was nominating people who would serve in his cabinet, and he had a plan that he had announced during the campaign in a way that is raw democracy at play. You know, that is what we ought to be having, which we lack in countries like Nigeria, where people get to power and they can't nominate their cabinet for months and they're not coming with clear policies. I think that is one lesson to learn in terms of action. Now, in terms of the substance, going to the wrong or right way, let us clear one thing, that so far, Trump has not surprised anybody. Everything he's doing, he did say he was going to do that. If Trump should surprise us, the surprise is going to be if he simmers down, if he calms down, he tempers his way, not go the other way. So far, everything he said he's doing is what he has said he has done. And we must remember, when we want to judge, let alone analyze Trump, to know that in reality, he has the mandate to do everything he's doing. You know, he won the popular vote, he won the electoral votes, and he has a parliamentary majority, so he can go far. What can he do? It's very difficult to predict Trump. So far, what we're saying are what is said in campaign. By the time Trump leaves office, and we're writing the history of the Trump era, one of the things I predict will come forward is how personality, personal interest, and personal worldview trumps institutional and state acts. Trump is a very personal person, and his philosophy is what he campaigned on. He doesn't believe in broad coalitions, multinationalism. He does not even believe in helping the weak. You know, he believes you're strong, you go for it. And that is going to affect Africa. African people and leaders must be ready to do away with soppy stories of we're doing this to help people, or we're doing this for the environment. Trump is not really interested in that. And he has shown us that by really telling us he can come out of the Paris Accord and telling us he can threaten not to be part of the World Health Organization. So I do not think he's going out there waking up thinking Africa. He's thinking of his interest, which he defines as American interest. The way Africa reacts to it is the story, not what done to Africa. Africa has two reactions. The rest of the world has two reactions. One is if they can learn to create an alternative to Trump, or they learn to be Trump's friend. I believe he's going to identify some African leaders who he likes personally, who he thinks he can do business with, and he's going to give everything he's taken from the rest of Africa to those few selected ones.
All right.
And he's not going to go out of his way to say, let's go and help Africa.
Okay, I think it's quite clear that he's not going to go out of his way to say, let's go and help Africa. It's America first. And a number of people have said maybe it's high time African countries also put their countries first. But let me probe further what you said with regards to him identifying some allies in Africa, so in some African countries and working with them. Do you have any idea, based on maybe his previous interactions or relationships, as to which of these countries in Africa would be his first port of call? And then also, even at all, if Trump really cares about the continent, and for us, this is an opportunity for us to then begin to work together to build an alliance to be stronger as a continent. Like he said, he doesn't have time for the weak. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I don't think you can predict Tom in terms of consistency. Because he was friend with somebody last time and Trump won, does not mean he'll be friend with them this time around. I think he's going to look at what can he benefit, or should we put it in a neutral way? What is the value that country or that leader is going to add to his vision? There is a peculiarity of Trump 2.0, which is the presence of business people around him. I think of Elon Musk, I think of other corporate leaders who have access to the presidency. As a matter of fact, some people are already saying that this is a presidency of plutocracy. You know, this is the presidency of the rich. I think his interest in Africa and other places will be guided by what people like that, and of course, members of his cabinet, but strictly people like that, tell him it's the interest of America or is their interest there. So we should be looking at countries that has lithium now. That would be attractive to Trump. You know, they need that kind of thing. We should be looking at countries that are willing to supply some kind of resources to America, especially if they can defy other international alliances. The complication that Trump brings to the table is that, one, he hasn't got a monolithic and traditional relationship with Europe at the moment. That might change. But at the same time, he has a quasi-friendly relationship with Russia. So that makes his international politics less predictable. So we cannot predict who's going to be his friend in Africa in specific, but we know his friend is going to be the human being leader that he likes, that is willing to defy traditional alliances, and that can bring something to the table.
But always the slant in the conversation is America will do business with us for minerals. When are we going to look at manufacturing, tech, production? When are we going to be in terms of the global technological race? Some people have said we're not even started. Look at what happened with DeepSeek and the Americans today. By building language models of AI with just about $6 million, what Americans spent about $1 billion on, NVIDIA is losing most of its market share.
Yeah.
When will Nigeria be a frontier in tech, large language model, and AI? We have the talent. When will our leaders summon this talent all around the world? I met a lady that I'm doing some partnership with for free training for AI now, that works at the Alan Turing Institute. These are Nigerian people in machine learning. When will the Nigerian government, President Tinubu, say, bring all these people in so we can leapfrog with investment and be part of the technological race? Are we going to keep looking at America just do us over?
What I think the favor Trump might do us by treating us badly is that we might be forced to finally roll up our sleeves and get things done. The idea of the stepmother that does not give you food teaches you how to learn to cook quickly and to provide for yourself. You say, when are we going to start this thing? We can start now if we have the vision. We can start today. We don't even need to ship all those people in. We can start with a webinar. We can do a virtual meeting with them and start planning it. And this is the new world. I'm sitting at the CRP Institute today in Lagos, but in 20 minutes from now, I'm going to be delivering a lesson that is followed in the UK and the USA. That's the new world, and we just need to tap into it. But I think that whilst the government is paid and charged to chart the course, and because it has the muscle to provide infrastructure and security and certainty of law that is needed, for somebody like me who does not have a lot of hope in government, I think we should be calling on the private sector, innovators, inventors, business people, scholars, to come forward and say, let us lead, or at least let us take our space in technology and go back to take our space in manufacturing. Perhaps we need to start frowning, if we want some laws to be made, on former manufacturing buildings and sites that are turned into churches. Perhaps we should say, let us not turn anything that has been a manufacturing place before to anything else other than a manufacturing site. Or should we say, if a church wants to take a space that was meant for manufacturing, they should go and get another space for the manufacturers. Maybe if we want to have this conversation seriously, we should be ready to have it.
Okay.
Blaming the government and dancing around it will not do, although the government has a huge part to play. It's the vision. Rufai, you ask when. I say we start today if we really want to. We just need men and women of goodwill, clear vision, and the vigor to drive it.
Okay, beyond trade and all of that, how about the human beings, the average African? We have seen what Trump is doing in South America. He's deporting people, putting Brazilians in handcuffs and shipping them back home. Persons from Guatemala, people from Mexico, people from other parts of South America. Now, Africans will be affected by this. Should we begin to prepare for the possibility of Africans that may be classified as illegal migrants or criminals being deported back home to their countries? And second, this birthright citizenship that Trump says he doesn't want, And then aid has also been canceled. Many African countries receive aid from the United States. All of that also will be canceled or has even been canceled immediately. If you may just talk about all that. Since the average African thinks America is God's own country, now Trump says, well, stay in your country. God is not here. Go and find God in your own country.
Well, God is telling you, go and find your own God. Our God is for us. You go and find your own God. It's Trump's message. I think the first thing to say, I repeat, is that all these things Trump is doing, he promised. Some people say he threatened. He said he was going to do them, so nobody should act surprised that he's doing them now. I also believe that, yes, you're right. Africans should be ready that some people will be deported. So if you're using somebody's house because he's abroad, maybe you should start creating space because he might return, either because he or she is illegal, either because she's convicted of any crime. Chances are that some Africans, some Nigerians will return home. And, when you talk about the citizens' birthright, well, there are two ways to look at it. There's a technical way to say that Trump's announcement is a desire. That policy is a constitutional right that needs to go to Parliament and that can end up in the Supreme Court to be adjudicated. But in terms of politics, it's a domestic affair. It's not a world affair. America can decide who can become citizen. Let's not forget that we're talking of America today, but the UK has lifted that. European countries did not have that for a very long time. Some of them started and some of them stopped it. So it's not so unusual. I know because America has allowed that thing for centuries. It is something that has made America special. But there's something about people like Trump. They're not very special. Their legacy is about material things. It's neither emotional nor spiritual, in the sense that Trump is going to run for legacy. But his quest for legacy is not the way we knew it, the noble way of helping the weak, raising the frail, and defending values. Trump is a more sort of natural, raw, might is right, tough luck to you, I'm not here for you, get on with it. That's the kind of thing Trump has projected. And he has won the election, so we have to live with it. So, citizen birthright, let's see what the court and the parliament says. Possible deportation of Africa, yes, very possible. So we should be prepared. But I think, Africans and the rest of the world should start thinking of how to react to Trumpism. There are two ways, one is to protest and cry, the other is to roll up our sleeves and think of an alternative that lies between one, self-sufficiency, and two, alternative alliance against Trump.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Anthony Kila, for your time with us this morning. Like you said, Americans have made their choice. Trump is president. Let everyone get to the program and live with it. And we welcome back all our people who have gone away. And hopefully this is high time for us to build our nation here in Nigeria. Thank you.